BFD3's Groove Engine lets you play back and edit grooves from the vast included library, as well as record and edit your own. Grooves are imported into the palette over here. Let's choose one. They can also be auditioned. Let's go for that one. Simply drag it into the palette. The palette is now filled with all of the grooves contained in that groove palette. We'll come back to launching and arranging grooves shortly, but for now let's create a couple of our own. We're hosting BFD3 in Ableton Live here, but all of this can be done with it running standalone as well. We start by selecting New Groove to create a new groove, making sure we're in cycle mode. We activate Record in BFD, start Playback in Live, and record a take on our MIDI keyboard. Having straightened our groove out, we put together a fill to go with it. We also make a couple of variations. The first variation switches the hi-hat over to the ride. Easy way to do this in the groove editor is simply select all the notes involved, move them to the ride cymbal. You can even choose a specific articulation, which in this case will have the bell. Similarly, let's power up the snare a bit for this section by switching it to the rim shot articulation. Finally, we copy our first groove to a new palette slot, and this time we'll go for a quieter feel by moving the snare hit onto a side stick, maybe getting rid of the open hi-hat. Rename the groove. Now we have 3 grooves and a fill. Once you've got a few grooves in your palette, there are various ways in which you can string them together to make a song. First, you can export them directly to your DAW. Or you can place them in BFD3's own drum track. This is just a single lane sequencer. You can also control groove playback directly within the palette. Each groove has its own start and end behaviour, defined by default for all grooves here, or per slot in these 2 menus down here. The various options are fairly self-explanatory. For example, at the moment we've got it so that all groups will just loop when selected until a new groove is selected. But we could change this so that after each groove plays through once, playback moves down to the slot below. Or so that it plays a random groove. At the moment our fill is defined as a groove when actually it's a fill, thus it gets thrown in and included when random grooves are selected, which isn't particularly appropriate, being as fills are specifically placed at the end of phrases and so forth. We can define our fill as a fill by selecting it and hitting the fill button. Now it won't be selected as a random groove anymore, but it will be when random groove stroke fill is selected. Grooves can also be assigned to MIDI notes for triggering via your MIDI controller or from a MIDI track within your DAW. To change from the default assignment, simply go to the key map, decide which notes you want to assign your grooves to, drag the grooves over to them. Grooves will play back according to their start and end behaviour rules. At the moment they're all set to loop, so each groove just continues playing until the key is released.